Nama Amida Bu, The True Teaching on Amida Buddha and His Pure Land by Reverend Joshua Adrian Cilio. Chapter 1, The True Teaching on Samsara. Part 1, General Explanations of Being, Karma, and Rebirth. Samsara is the cycle of repeated births and deaths through which unenlightened beings must pass due to their karmic illusions and blind passions. But before going into details on these topics, let us understand what is a being or a person according to the Buddhist teaching, and also what is karma and rebirth. So, dear friends, imagine you have a car in front of you. Now imagine you lose one of the wheels and you put it aside. Is the car identical with this wheel? Then take another wheel and proceed in the same way, asking yourself the same question. Continue to disassemble the car and do not stop until each component of the automobile is taken away. Now ask yourself again, do all these components taken separately represent the automobile? You will logically realize the answer is no. So what really is the vehicle? It is a name given to an ensemble of elements put together at a given time. What is the person, a human or non-human being, from a Buddhist point of view? An ensemble of elements gathered at a given moment. These elements are represented by ideas, sensations, feelings, thoughts, etc. All these united represent the human or non-human being. This explanation must be kept in mind if we want to understand Buddhism. The person is not something all by itself, but an ensemble of various sensations, feelings, ideas, thoughts, etc., united at a given moment. The fundamental characteristic of this ensemble is transition, dynamism. When looking at a person, one will see an image of this motion, an image of this ensemble in continuous movement. If one looked at that person when he or she was 3 years old, one wouldn't have seen the same thing. This is because at that time you observed another aspect of the motion. The components of the personality would have had another aspect and a different form. After 20 years, you'll see, for instance, another John, George, or Mike. Something is still preserved, but at the same time, something changes. I am not identical with my 3-year-old's self. And in 20 years' time, I won't be completely the same with the one I am now. In Buddhism, this is called the non-ego or non-self doctrine. All things exist due to causes and conditions. Thus, they have no nature of their own or an unchanged identity. This is why they are said to be empty. When causes and conditions come together, a certain thing exists. When they disappear, that thing also disappears. When causes and conditions change, that thing changes too. Now let us observe another matter. What is causing this ensemble to move? Buddha's answer is desire and craving, thirst. Our different desires and tendencies determine us to move towards one direction or another. They change our personal history and generate the karma, the action. Karma is the law of cause and effect. The term karma comes from the Sanskrit word karman, which means action, acting with thought, deed, and word. As a conclusion, there are 3 types of karma: karma of thought, karma of speech, and karma of action or body. All that we think, speak, or do will affect our personal history. What we are now represents the results of what we have thought, said, or did in the past, in another lifetime, or in the present life. And what we think, speak, and do in the present will create us in the future. We've said that what is commonly called person is in continuous change, and that after 10 years, for example, that person is not identical with the one he is today. We've said that although he is not the same, something still remains. Well, this something is the causal continuity. When a man sets a stack on fire and the fire extends to the whole village and burns down the house of another peasant situated at the opposite side of the village, the first peasant could say that he has nothing to do with this disaster, for the fire which burnt the house of the second peasant is not identical with the flame he used for setting his straws on fire. But there is a causal continuity between the first fire and the one which burnt the second peasant's house. This is how things are concerning the karma. The ensemble, in a continuous motion, which is the human or non-human being, is moved by a desire which generates karma. We are the result of our own karma. Karma may last forever and determines our birth in another life. So we have arrived to what is called reincarnation. But from the Buddhist point of view, a more appropriate word would be rebirth. When using the term reincarnation, the idea implied in it is that there would be a self-dependent, unchangeable thing which passes from one body to another. But we have underlined in our presentation that the ensemble named person is in continuous motion and transformation, which is why the term mind stream is often used in the Buddhist texts to emphasize this constant changing. So we see that the word rebirth is more adequate. A man in his daily life dies and is reborn permanently, according to the changes, the tendencies, and the desires which occur in his mind stream and the physical body. We've given earlier the example with the age of 3 years and 20 years. In the moment of death, our personal karma determines the form and the vehicle, that is, the body which the mind stream will have in the next birth. Our desires need a vehicle to follow them and fulfill them in another life. The environment where we will be born in another life and the shape we will have depend on karma. Buddha states that not even a single man can escape his karma. Quote, "Not in the heaven, not in the middle of the ocean, not in the mountain caves. There is no place in this world where you can hide from the consequences of your deeds." End quote. The doctrine of karma teaches us that we are completely responsible for what we are and what we will become. Nobody besides us, be it a god, human, or any other being, can be held responsible. We deserve what happens to us, even if it is hard to accept that. Nama Amida Bu.